If you've heard it, so have we.
If you hate it, we probably do too.
If you like it, we'll see.
But either way, we've heard it all. Hey girl,
Oh my gosh, we made it.
Happy New Year?
Happy New Year. Happy New Year to
Yeah,
everyone listening. It may be
yeah,
March, but that's okay.
the year is still new to us.
The year is very new. We were just talking off camera how we've been rocked this year. We've been curb
Mm-hmm.
stomped. And so we're just now getting to make the first episode of 2025, which
Yeah,
is
I feel like
crazy.
we needed time to marinate in all the changes
Mm,
that have happened, which we kind of hinted at in our 2024 episodes of like what's to come with like Department of Education and federal funding, and we're feeling it. We're
yeah,
feeling it.
we are
So
feeling it.
we needed to hibernate a little bit so we could come back stronger than ever.
Oh my gosh. We're funnier than ever, I would say.
We're actively gaining more trauma to be
You're right.
funnier.
Yeah. Yeah, for
That's what I
sure.
think. Yeah.
That's the sunny side.
Okay. God. I'm so scared of where we're headed.
I know.
But you know what there always is? Pop culture.
It's always there.
And it'll keep going. It's reliable.
It's never going away.
And I know, in the pop culture that we're kind of late to talking about, but I think it's still relevant because I think it's a reflection of the times that we're in, is the Oscars. They happened a
Mm,
couple weeks ago. We watched them together,
we
and I
did.
loved being able to share that with you and hold space with you for the Oscars.
Mm-hmm. It was very nice.
What were your thoughts on the ceremony?
It was fine. You know
Yeah.
what? I did enjoy Conan. I thought he was
Yes.
super fun
Mm-hmm.
and refreshing. Hasn't like Jimmy Kimmel hosted it for like the past like 3 or 4 times
Yeah, I
in a
think because like,
row?
yeah, nobody really wants to do it. Because
Yeah.
apparently it's a tough gig, and I get it. And I think that it was nice to see Conan because Conan is really prone to being wacky and weird,
Hmm.
which I appreciate at like a stuffy event like the Oscars.
Yeah. It was really
Mm-hmm.
nice. Yeah. I mean, apart from Conan though, take it or leave it. Take it or
I
leave it. I
know.
think it's just like not as interesting to watch. And I think we'll obviously talk about this later, but like it doesn't feel as relevant to like a general public if you're not like
Mm-hmm.
a super into film person because it's no longer movies that are just normal people are seeing. It's just like if you're like a really big what am I trying to say?
Cinephile.
Yeah, like then you're like more prone to see these movies, but it's not just like casual viewing anymore.
There are a lot of like niche indie films, which like we love indie films in
Mm,
this house. We love supporting independent filmmakers. But I do feel like there are so many movies that everyone is talking about that don't make
mm,
it into the Oscars conversation. And I know there's reasoning for that, but and again, like you said, we'll get into it a little bit later. Like this divide is much more recent.
mm.
And we'll kind of talk about that a little bit. But I agree. I thought the ceremony was fine. I think one, not having any songs be nominated that were well known, I think really
Mm.
hindered it because then they completely eliminated the original song performances that are usually peppered throughout and replaced them with a bunch of tribute performances. Like the James
Yeah.
Bond one could have done without.
No, and yeah, I've like thought about that more as I've like sat with it and heard it. I don't understand why they put Doja in that. Why was Doja Cat in
Yeah.
there? It was like really odd.
Well, so when the first couple bars, I was like, "Oh, this is cool," because she was really trying to emulate like Shirley Bassey and the way that Shirley
Yeah.
Bassey sings "Diamonds Are Forever." Then it kind of faltered, and she admitted, I think in her Instagram post
Yeah.
about it, she's like, "Girl hit some flats," and I appreciate the honesty. I think
Yeah.
it was just odd that most of the songs being sung, the original artists are still alive.
Yeah.
Shirley Bassey's still here. She's still performing.
Yeah.
Adele, she's in Vegas. Go get her.
She's she's a hop, skip, and a jump away.
I know. So and also just I didn't know why we were doing a James Bond tribute. I didn't know if it was an anniversary year. I do know that Barbara Broccoli, who's like the longtime producer of these films, got an honorary Oscar, and now what, Amazon bought the rights to James
That's what I
Bond?
was gonna say. The news that Amazon like Now As the Rights was like that day or the day before announced. And so that's why I felt
Mm-hmm.
like maybe it was like they paid for that. I mean, honestly,
I feel like Jeff Bezos personally paid for that
yeah, yeah.
performance.
Because it just felt
Um,
odd. Because like it's not like
yeah,
there's a movie coming out. It's not like there's
mm-mm,
we're not they didn't announce a new Bond. Like
no,
it doesn't seem like they're going to anytime soon. So it just felt like
no.
really strange
Yeah,
choice.
I also thought like I loved seeing Margaret Qualley, but she's a trained dancer, and I don't think they really utilize the breadth of her talent for
Yeah.
that. It just felt like she was spinning around a little bit,
Well, and that's why I'm
but I
also wondering, sorry, didn't mean to cut you off, but I'm
no,
wondering if it was like like a late minute ad because it wasn't a terribly like complex choreography or like
no,
performance.
nope,
So,
yeah.
who knows?
Could have done without that. I did like the tribute to Quincy Jones with Ease on
Yeah,
Down the Road from The Wiz with Queen Latifah. I just love seeing Queen Latifah.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
But yeah, again, it was just felt like a mishmash of musical performances. I did think it was really weird to not have someone sing a song for the In Memoriam. In Memoriam just felt weird.
No, the music choice was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. And I
Like
know
the
we talked about
choral
it when it was
music,
happening, and it felt very like ominous. It wasn't like you weren't like
reverent.
reflecting like the legacy
Yeah.
of these people. It felt like,
I it felt like there just should have been someone like just bring Cynthia Erivo back up to sing like a ballad.
yeah.
Yeah, I was a little thrown off by all of that.
Also, the camera work was weird.
Yes,
There
it
was like
kept cutting
really
in different
strange,
places.
yeah, it was very strange.
Because also they like cut to the orchestra and then like it was only half of the screen was shown. And because usually during the Oscars, like they'll cut so like viewers at home get the full
Hmm.
slideshow, but they just filmed the stage the whole night. And I
Yeah,
was really thrown off by that.
yeah,
So it feels like this entire Oscars was last minute.
yeah,
I
yeah,
felt like they were cutting corners.
yeah. They probably were. I mean, honestly, if you look at like, I actually didn't look at how many people watched or viewed the Oscars this year, but like it's been dwindling year after year. So I just think they
Yeah, I
probably
don't
aren't
know.
putting as much effort as they used to.
Yeah, which I don't have any solutions on how to revamp the
No,
Oscars other than maybe what we're about to talk about.
yeah,
But yeah, it was overall fine. No crazy surprises, which usually I like a little shakeup every now and then.
hmm,
The closest shakeup was Mikey Madison winning Best Actress for Honora, but I showed it
yeah,
to you and like, I don't know. I think
yeah.
she won. I
I
think she
think
won
she
for good
deserves it.
reason.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. But I guess we can the solution I'm talking about that we're going to talk about is that there is a big disconnect between what is nominated for Oscars and like what people are actually watching in the
hmm,
mainstream, because I think I said this to you and a couple other people that I didn't feel very strongly connected to any of the movies nominated this
hmm,
year other than Wicked, just because I'm a Wizard of
yeah,
Oz stan. Other than that movie, I felt very, and I really loved Nora, but all the other movies I felt okay about. I didn't feel like, oh, I'm writing for this film. It has to win. It's the
yeah,
distinctive winner. I was like, these are all Oscar films.
yeah. And I will say, honestly, I only saw like two
Mm-hmm.
of like Best Picture noms because I didn't really feel compelled to watch any of the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know you saw The Brutalist, and as soon as you told me it was like something 3 hours, I was like, no, like I'm
Oh,
not.
no, no, not three.
Was
Close
it
to
over?
four.
No, because
It's
like
over three.
that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. There's no reason
And
I think it should go that long.
here's my
And for
thing.
a general public again. But we know like we're gonna talk about there's a disconnect, but like
But I will say with the Brutalist, actually, I that sounded like I was going to lead into a defense of the Brutalist. No, I'm going to say that it did not need to take 4 hours.
yeah.
I watched it. It was a beautiful story. There were great performances in it. Adrian Brody did a wonderful job,
Hmm.
but it didn't say enough for it to have taken 4 hours.
Right.
It
Yeah.
just felt like it was trying to be an American epic, but it didn't have the chops to be an American epic.
Hmm.
But I do think it's a great story and beautifully told and beautifully acted. Even though AI was used to help with some accents in the film, and you say your thoughts on that because I was just gonna say
Yeah.
something. You say it.
Yeah. So again, I haven't seen the movie, but as we know, there was controversy surrounding like you said, them using AI to like spruce up their
Mm-hmm.
accents a little bit. And if we are regarding the Academy Awards, they're like the pinnacle of like someone like reaching the height of their craft.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, if you're using AI in it, you should be disqualified. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't think that should be allowed. And I understand that there's no way around the industry adopting AI in some format. There should be, but there's not going to because it's going to save
Mm-hmm.
so much money. But it's just like you're winning an Oscar for like your performance, but you're using artificial intelligence to enhance your performance. And I just don't, that's not congruent to being an artist. And it just feels really weird. And I think it's probably going to take us in like a weird stretch of history of like battling like artistic integrity and AI and how we kind of balance that
Mm-hmm.
going forward. So it's, yeah.
Yeah. I was really bummed to hear that because I'm like, that's the crux of being an actor is like honing in on
Yeah.
an accent and getting it right. Like, it's
Yeah.
not something that you can't learn. That's what really gets me about it.
Yeah.
So I do believe that Adrian Brody gave a wonderful performance, and I do believe he deserved that Oscar.
Mm,
But I'm a little like
yeah.
about the accent tweaking. Didn't love hearing that, but
Yeah.
he was very good. I didn't see A Complete Unknown because I don't know, it just didn't look very interesting to me. And I
It
like
feels
Bob
like
Dylan,
yeah, it just feels like
but
an
I could
Oscar biopic.
yeah, I could just go to Wikipedia and read about it.
Yeah. And this is again kind of
So
going back to like again, I didn't see most of them because I didn't feel compelled to them. The only one that I did see and I really enjoyed was Conclave. Such a
I
good
need to
movie.
see it. I
So
need to see
engaging.
it.
But it was funny. The only reason I saw it was because my grandpa saw it and he really liked it and he said I would like
Mm-hmm.
it.
Yeah.
His favorite description for movies that he thinks I would like, he usually tells me there's a lot of acting in it,
I
which is
no,
his
yeah.
way of
I
saying like
understand what he means.
they're acting.
It's it's artsy, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that was the only reason I saw it, and I never thought that it was gonna get like awards buzz because I saw it like
Mm.
the first week or two that it came out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. And I think we had started talking about this before of like the average general public is not gonna see these kind of movies. One, because it's not distributed outside of
Mm-hmm.
like major cities, and like
Mm-hmm.
after it gets Oscar buzz, people still aren't going to really see it, which I think that's partly the decline of like the movie going experience and people going to theaters, which I did love
Yeah.
that Conan talked about that. Like, go to
Yeah.
theaters.
And I'm glad that Sean Baker brought that up too in
Yeah.
his acceptance speech because I think it's the compounding factor of less people are going to the movies.
Mm.
Have we talked about movie etiquette on this podcast?
So I we talked about it
Okay.
when we were
Then
talking
we don't need
about
to
going to
rehash
see
them.
Wicked,
Okay, then let's not rehash that because
but
I don't want to elevate my blood pressure.
I know.
Um, it's people are less people are going to the movies, which is the way that most of these movies are like only being seen because like Anora, you really had
Mm.
to see it when it came out, and then it was kind of hard to find, and then you had to just
Yeah.
rent it, because it didn't go straight to a streaming platform.
Mm.
Um, Same thing with The Brutalist, which I would say like you should watch that in a theater.
Mm.
They do give you an intermission to pee. It's like 15 minutes long,
So funny.
which was crazy.
It's no, that's a crazy thing to do.
I know, but at the same time, it's like I think of movies like and stay with me here, Gone with the Wind,
Hmm.
which 4 hour long epic, which kind of makes sense. That's a movie that
Hmm.
should be 4 hours. There's so many eras of like Scarlett's life we walk through, and yes,
Yeah.
intermission needed. Same thing with Sound of Music,
Hmm.
but the length feels necessary. Anyways, I digress. But I also feel like the prestige of the Oscar, always prestigious, but I will say making it like a broadcast telecast ceremony,
Hmm.
I think has made, and maybe this theory's not correct, but now more people can watch the Oscars. So more people who come up as filmmakers are aware of like the prestige of this award,
Hmm.
whereas before it was like a radio broadcast if you caught it, you know?
Yeah.
So I think more people might go into filmmaking seeing the structures of these films that win these awards and be like, I want to make this specific kind of film.
Yeah.
And it's going to be this niche thing that not everyone's going to understand, but it's going to get me this very small critical acclaim amongst critics who I very much respect. But it's not going to be something for the masses because
Mhm.
big studios just want to, and that I feel like every time I talk about this, I find a new reason why this is, which is also that all
Yeah.
the big studios are just like churning out the same IP over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Like Minecraft, the movie, is not going to get nominated for an Oscar, maybe for like special effects, but even then,
Even then, that's just
Sonic the
making money.
Hedgehog 3 is not going to get nominated for an Oscar.
Yeah.
Like, I remember when we had to beg the Oscars to nominate Black Panther,
Yeah. No,
you
yeah. I
know?
mean, like, and it does feel like a regression because I'm also thinking like Black Panther getting nominated,
Mm-hmm.
Get Out, and like how crazy that was.
Mm,
Moonlight. Have we? I Sing Sing was nominated,
yeah.
and I think that was
Well,
it, and it didn't win anything. If I'm,
it didn't win anything, but every person I know who has seen it said it was spectacular.
yeah,
So that might be about the campaign thing, which we will get into
that's what I
Oscar
was thinking too.
campaigning.
Yeah,
But the thing about Get Out, I don't. Maybe you remember better than me, but I remember seeing that in an indie theater. I don't remember how wide the distribution of Get Out was
it was
because
huge.
Moonlight was definitely an indie film
Yeah,
that a lot of people saw after the whole La La Land Moonlight debacle.
yeah.
So, okay, Get Out was huge.
Get
Cause
Out
yes, I
distribution
no,
huge. I mean,
yes,
like everywhere.
I
Yeah.
remember seeing trailers for it, and that's why me and my friends went to go see it. Okay, you're
Yeah.
right, you're right, you're right.
No, no, no. Like
Um,
definitely a huge rollout. Like
yes,
from the get-go was
yeah,
always like on that trajectory. But I do think
but
it
it
was
is.
obviously still a surprise when it was nominated, just because horror's never nominated for
It's like a horror comedy too.
featuring black people and racism,
Oh my god.
where the white people are bad.
But you have to understand the context is that this was the time of white people not wanting to appear as racist. Now they don't
Yeah.
care. I
Yeah,
mean,
you're
they've
right.
always kind of not cared, but at that time, the white liberals were like,
Hmm.
they were being like, I would vote for Obama a third time. They
Yeah.
were
Yeah, I
saying
know.
that.
Yeah.
And I think they were like, it is our duty to uplift Jordan Peele in this time.
The black creative voice.
This light skinned creative, we are going to uplift
Yeah.
him, you know, because he's making content that is accessible to us, even though it
Hmm.
isn't, because they think it is, but they don't even understand all the layers of Get Out.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I think there's so many different factors because I think of like the Sound of Music is like so many. Have you seen The Sound of Music?
No,
I
I've
was about
never
to say,
seen it.
I was like, everyone's seen it. You
I
haven't.
think we've talked about this where I've not seen it. I did not watch a lot of musicals growing up.
Mm.
Mhm. I was not born into a musical family.
Oh, okay. Well, I
Yeah.
wasn't born into a musical family. My dad is just kind of like gay coded.
Yeah.
Um, uh, he would hate that I just said that. Oh my god, that's his deal. But I think I just watched a lot of 1950s musicals because I like watched The Sound of Music and I was like, I want more of
Mhm.
this, and I would go to the library and check them out.
Yeah.
Um, but The Sound of Music is very good. I recommend it. Deserves to be as long as it is
Yeah. Which I can like see that.
because it's a musical. There's like portions. There's
Yeah.
parts. There's
Like
songs.
there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how we fix the problem. I don't think it's a problem that the Oscars are so different from the mainstream, but I think if they are worried about people watching the Oscars, they're going to have to figure out a way to merge those two. But if they're not worried and they want to make it a
Yeah.
niche thing, they can do that. But then what separates the Oscars then from the Independent Spirit Film Awards?
Yeah. And I was also thinking when you were talking about like bridging the gap, they kind of tested the waters a few years ago. I think it was the year Black Panther was nominated. where they were gonna have a category of like box office something, like best box office something or another.
Box office success or something.
Yeah, and it felt just kind of like a here's movies people are like watching and stuff, but we're not gonna
Mm-hmm.
like nominate them for their
Didn't
craft.
they do that at the Golden Globes and like Barbie won whatever year that was? I'm pretty
I don't
sure Barbie
remember.
won an award for like box office success. And I was like, well, yeah, it made $1 billion. Of
Yeah,
course it's gonna win.
yeah,
Which,
which
like,
is
it doesn't need an award for that. It already got a billion
no, it's
dollars. That's
already
award
it's
enough.
made its money. It's fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so yeah, I don't have a solution. I don't even know if I believe it's a problem, but I do hope next year I am more excited about the movies. That's the problem I have. Make
Yeah,
more movies that are exciting for me.
yeah. And again, it's not that any of the movies are bad. It's just
Mm.
mm,
You know how I feel about certain films,
I know.
but we discussed. It's fine.
Um,
Um,
yeah. So
yeah,
I am
but
curious to see what happens in the next few years. I'm gonna say,
yeah, I'm curious where movie going is going because especially with the advent of AI and like I I know indie film is still happening, but I feel like the major studios are just lost creatively. Like they have no idea how to
hmm
make a blockbuster that's like fun. That's not
yeah,
just like, oh, we had this IP back in the day and we're just gonna like remake it and just add on new numbers until we have
yeah,
10 films in a sequence. So I would really like, as much as like I want people to support indie film, I would really like to see some creativity from the big studios because I was just thinking of like Pixar. Haven't liked a Pixar movie in a long
no,
time.
yeah,
That used to be like oh reliable. You saw a Pixar movie, you knew it was gonna be good.
yeah.
And now I'm
Also,
like,
yeah, this is not Pixar, but let's talk about Shrek 5. Did you ever watch the trailer?
I watched the trailer. Yes,
No, because
horrified.
why would they do that? Why
Why
would
they
they do
change the
that?
animation style?
I don't know. I don't know why they would do that. It's so stupid.
Well, did you see the animators from Sonic the Hedgehog said you should listen to them
Yeah, because
because we bullied
the
them into
people,
changing Sonic.
when they saw that Sonic teeth, the public was livid, and they were right to be livid,
It was
but
scary.
it was
You want
terrifying.
you want kids to like that's gonna be their new sleep paralysis demon. Is
Sonic with
that Sonic?
chompers.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Ew.
Oh my God,
Gross.
yeah.
Yeah,
Feel very
but
scary. Not to go backwards real quick, but
no, go backwards.
I'm gonna go backwards.
We're going backwards generally.
I think this is also just a byproduct of quote unquote Hollywood being hit so many times with so many different things. Like first you
Mm.
had COVID, which shut everything down and everything was
Mm-hmm.
shelved.
Mm-hmm.
People aren't going to the movies as much because everyone's
Mm-hmm.
broke. The writer strike happened. The actor strike happened.
Yeah.
Now there was a fire, and it's just like the hits keep coming.
I know.
And obviously, I think we talked about this in a previous episode, but that's why we're
Mm-hmm.
seeing such a remergence in like old IP because it's just a cash grab. That's what it is. They're trying to make money
Mm-hmm.
because they're hemorrhaging money. But they're also just making stupid mistakes and like making dumb
Mm-hmm.
choices.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen it, and I can't remember the name of it, but there was a new movie that came out on Netflix with Millie Bobby Brown and Chris Pratt. Um, okay, I love that you don't know about this because
I've
no one does.
never heard of
So
this.
it just came out, I think, probably Friday. And
Okay.
I'm forgetting what it's called, but it's based on a video game. I
Okay.
think it's either based on a video game or like a comic book or something like that. And
Okay.
everyone is dogging on it because it's so bad. Because it's so bad. Everyone's trashing the writing, like the creative direction. It just, what I've heard is
Wow.
that it feels very flat in comparison to, um, like I said, either the like graphic novel, comic, or the game. Can't remember which one
Okay.
it is.
Yeah.
And I think it's directed by the Russo brothers. So
Okay.
keep that in mind. And one of the reviews I listened to, I was gonna say listen to, I saw it on TikTok. But like apparently there's like a lot of people in there, and the budget was like $30 million.
Okay.
And I'm like, hey, we gotta stop spending so much money on stunt casting because that's where probably the majority of it is going to, like, and paying all these people to
Yeah.
be in your movie. But also, why are we spending so much money to produce something that's so mediocre and that no
Mm-hmm.
one's gonna watch? Like,
that's my thing. That you thank you for bringing up stunt casting, because that's the big thing, is that like we're spending so much money on like paying the high salaries of like these
mm,
actors that are very, they're working. We know them. It's name recognition. But you look at a film like Anora, Mikey
mm,
Madison is about to have a great career off a
yeah,
film that cost $6 million, you know?
yeah,
And like you have to be able to like take a chance on like young talent and new talent. And
hmm,
actually I missaid young. I should not say young. New talent.
yeah,
Um, but it's also like other stars. Like I know Demi Moore, I think wasn't paid as much as she normally was for the substance
hmm,
either. And you just have to be willing to do stuff with people that want to do art.
right,
Um,
yeah,
and yeah, I don't get a lot of what Netflix is doing, because I also just saw a movie. I was scrolling through. There's a new like Amy Schumer movie called like Kinda
mm,
Pregnant, where she like
okay,
is jealous of her friend and fakes a pregnancy for attention. And
okay,
I was like, what?
okay. Also,
I was like,
I don't fuck with Amy Schumer.
me neither. I've just never found her very funny. The funniest thing she
No,
has ever said is on Girls, when she asked Lena Dunham's character, "Did you leave in a rush?" when she showed up in an
yeah,
outfit. That
no, that
was
is very
not
funny.
great. The funniest thing she's ever said. But other than that, I've never really engaged with. Actually, no, wait, what am I saying? I love the movie Trainwreck. I think that's a really good movie.
Mm,
It is a rom-com you would not
I
enjoy.
haven't seen it. I know. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, trust me, I know. I've never seen it.
it's a rom-com with her and Bill Hader, and it actually is very
Okay.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can see that.
And John Cena's very funny in it.
John Cena,
John Cena's
I
in it.
actually really
LeBron
enjoy watching
James.
him. Yeah,
LeBron James is also in it as like
that's so
Bill's
funny.
best, like his sidekick character.
Yeah, because he has to have a black best friend. It's a rom-com.
Like, girl, don't
Listen.
get me started. But anyways, um, but yeah, I think Hollywood needs to get its act straight. I think they need to calm down on spending a bunch on movies that suck. Like
Hmm.
I need them to hire teams of like consumers that are going to be like, yeah, I like this, because time and time again, people collectively don't like things.
I know.
But let's talk about campaigning,
Yeah. Let's talk about
because
campaigning. I know you did some research. I did a
I
little bit of research while I was drying my hair.
I'll speak at you,
Okay, great.
because
Love that.
I love campaigning. I
Hmm.
love campaign season, because when I was a wee kid, I'm
Hmm.
like, the Oscars are like a niche, not a niche interest, but like I've watched them since I was like 10. There was
Hmm.
one time that there was like a huge storm back home that like cut off our um power lines or whatever. We didn't have Wi-Fi, and like we couldn't, or not, we didn't have cable and
Hmm.
broadcast, but we had internet. So I found like an illegal Russian live stream of the Oscars so I wouldn't miss it. And that
Love
was
that.
the year Ellen DeGeneres hosted. I remember that.
Okay.
I've never missed one. I don't miss
Yeah.
the Oscars, okay? The only time I ever missed anything is when my internet cut out for like 5 seconds and I missed the Will Smith slap.
Stop it. That's literally
I literally, it came
the
back and I was like,
worst.
why is it, no, it was funny because it came back on. I was like, why is the mood in the room different? I was so confused.
What's going
But
on with
anyways,
everybody?
so the Oscar campaign is a relatively new-ish concept in terms of calling it a campaign. I'm sure that
Yeah.
people were doing this for years, but again,
Hmm.
it's like I said, the Oscars are now broadcast on ABC. They're more accessible to watch. People are more engaged with like the conversation between the movies and award season. So this kind of starts in the 90s of people acknowledging that people are like campaigning for awards, and it starts with none other than the infamous Harvey Weinstein. As
Usually
the
starts.
head,
Usually
I
starts with
know
him.
it usually starts with him.
Yeah.
He's done so much
Yeah.
and so much. But
Yeah.
anyways, so he was the head of Miramax. I'm pretty sure with his, I don't remember if Bob Weinstein, his brother, I'm pretty sure they were co-founders of
Yeah.
Miramax, which was an indie movie production company that was trying to make all these like quote unquote cool indie projects of the time. And he would throw lavish parties and like shower the voters with gifts so that they would vote for Miramax films. That's how you see like Pulp Fiction really take off. The infamous Shakespeare in Love winning Best Picture over Saving Private Ryan, which was the favorite amongst like mainstream media. Everybody was like, Saving Private Ryan is the movie of the year, and nobody saw Shakespeare in Love. And all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden, Gwyneth Paltrow's winning an Oscar for Best Actress, and then the movie takes home the big prize of the night, and everyone was like, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
All because that man campaigned. That man was like, I bet there are rules now about campaigning and like buying votes, because I bet you can't buy votes, but if you throw a party and people happen to show up and they're like,
Yeah.
you know what, maybe I'll vote for your film. That's how
Mm-hmm.
it started. The campaign is now morphed into so many different funny things now that I
Yeah.
love to watch. And I'm going to tell you this. I found a Vogue article that put together all the craziest campaign like impacts that have
Okay.
been put
Yeah.
together. They mentioned Shakespeare in Love and how much of an upset, like, because the mass public was surprised by this.
Yeah.
The next one was, do you remember the year Melissa Leo, who is an actress that I haven't seen since she won this Oscar, she won Best Supporting Actress for The Fighter.
Yes. Yes.
She actually paid for
Yeah.
billboards to be put up that were like, consider me for this award. But she did admit that she's like, yeah, award season means I'm pimping myself out. Like,
Yeah.
I hope my fans are okay with this. And I like that she admitted to it. Then the next one, my favorite one, Lady Gaga, A Star is Born. Sometimes in the campaign season, let me tell you, sometimes in the campaign season, I do believe that studios feed the actors lines and like
for sure.
stories that they
Yeah.
should tell. I think Lady Gaga was only given one line, which was, there could be 1,000 people in the room, and all it takes is one to take a chance on you. I'm
God.
pretty sure if you search Lady Gaga, 1,000 people in a room, you can find a compilation,
have a compilation.
of 10 times
Yeah.
she said that exact phrase.
And you know what? I'm sure the first time it ate, everyone was like, oh my God, that's so right. And then they heard it
Yeah.
a second time.
Yeah,
And then
'cause
they heard
each
it a third
time-
time.
Each time, and that's her acting talent. She's always like about to cry, and
She's
then it's
delivering
like a singular beautiful tear, and I'm like,
it.
give her the Oscar for this
Just for that.
performance. Oh my God, it's so funny. And then they also brought up her campaign for House of Gucci when she was just like, I tried to live like my character and like spoke only in my accent for 9 months. I wrote an 80-page biography about the character, and I'm like, okay,
Right. Also,
okay, cool.
did you ever see that?
House of Gucci? No, I heard it was boring.
Oh, I hated it. I have never checked my watch more than when I was watching that film. I'm not kidding. I hated that movie. I couldn't tell you a thing about it, but I know that I was sitting in there like, damn, when is this 2 hours and 30 minutes going to be up?
Oh my God.
But I paid for it as an
Yeah.
AMC A-lister, so I had to stay.
Yeah, it was paid for.
Yeah.
Damn.
Anyways, that's just a
Yeah.
aside.
And then I think the last one they mentioned was not about how the Oscar campaign went well, but how it went wrong was Emilia Perez.
Yeah.
Which, damn. that
God,
went
I've
south
never seen
so
something
quickly.
bomb so quickly.
Because I do believe, even though I did not like the movie, I do feel like it would have won more awards if
Oh, for sure.
Carla did not tweet racist things and also
Yeah.
like kind of attacked the Oscars.
Yeah. And I do love that Conan mentioned something about it in like his opening
Yeah.
monologue, because like you
Yeah.
have to acknowledge it. You can't just let
It was a good taste.
It was a good joke. Yeah, it was a good
Mhm.
joke.
I was mad that I wasn't mad that they won for El Mal, but I was mad at the speech. I was like, actually get off the stage.
That was
trying to lead us.
so weird.
Why are you trying to lead a sing-along for a song that nobody knows?
I don't know. Also, this is kind of going back to like thoughts on the Oscars, but there were a lot of weird speeches this year.
Oh yeah.
Like
Really
we
weird
need to
speeches.
start writing them down and reading them again. Because
Yeah.
like Adam Brody, is that his name? Or Adrian? It's Adrian Brody. isn't it?
Adrian. Adam Brody
Adrian.
is the good one.
Yeah, you're right. You know I
He's
don't
the
know
hot
people's
one.
names. But Adrian Brody's
Brody.
went on and on and on.
Yeah.
That was the worst thing I've ever seen.
I was looking at Cillian Murphy in the back and he was looking bored.
Well, he always looks bored.
I know. He's just
I think
there
that's
so
just
he
his
doesn't get
face.
fined.
I know, yeah, but yeah,
Oh my God. Especially
so
like
odd.
he was like it was especially when he was like, I've done this before. I'm like, that's even more reason that you should get off the stage.
Yeah,
I
keep it
was like,
quick
no,
and then
this
get
is too
off.
long.
Yeah.
But you know what I did realize? I didn't realize that Camille, the person who had written the music for Emilia Perez, writes. She's the singer who sings the song at the beginning of Ratatouille,
I think I saw someone say that,
and I was like,
which is
no
funny.
way.
But also, don't make us listen to you
Mm-mm.
randomly singing. Don't hold us hostage.
I was like, we need to bring back the good old hook. We need to start
We need to
dragging
start
people off the
taking
stage.
people off stage. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, back
But
to
we
campaigning.
we were talking about the campaign, and I wanted to talk about this because there's been a lot of hullabaloo on the internet about Anora, because Anora, as we
Mm.
know, really took home all the prizes, and I
Mm-hmm.
think it was well deserved. I'm very happy for everyone. I love Sean Baker, love his films. But it came out that Anora's campaign budget, or technically their marketing budget, was $18 million when
Mm-hmm.
the movie was $6 million. A lot of people were confusing this as Anora being caught in a lie, but not understanding the difference between production and distribution.
Yeah.
So the movie was produced by Film Nation, but was distributed by Neon.
Mm-hmm.
Neon carries a very different budget for how they market the film versus how much Sean Baker had to like pool money
Yeah.
to get it actually made. So I don't think that 18 million is something that we should be like, oh my God, they spent so much money and bought their Oscars. Everybody does it.
Yeah. That's
Every
like,
single one of those movies,
mm-hmm.
every time you saw Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo crying, that's a
Mm-hmm.
campaign. That is a
Yeah.
campaign, baby cakes.
Yeah.
Okay? It's all a part of this. And also 18 million was not spent like we're buying this Oscar. It's like marketing the film so people will go
Yeah.
see it, you
Yeah.
know? Because we don't know what campaigning looked like to them, because I can't imagine like Sean Baker is out here like schmoozing Oscar voters. I think he's
No.
just kind of like, hey, I want to make this film. I want to continue to make this film. I could
Mm-hmm.
see him like wanting to like win this award just because it's a good chance, because that's how I
Yeah.
felt about Cillian Murphy last year,
Mm-hmm.
because everyone was like, Cillian doesn't want to be here, doesn't want to be here. No, 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 no. If you
He
are being
wanted that.
nominated for
Yeah.
an Oscar, you have to want it. You have to apply
Mm-hmm.
to want it. That's with any award. I think that year it just like he was like, hey, this might be a good opportunity. I'm proud of this role. Let's just go for it. See what
Yeah.
happens. And he ends up winning the Oscar. That sometimes is just the probability game of like, I think I want to go for it for this movie. And you
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
I think that might have been what happened with Anora, because it caught a lot more attention than his previous films, even though people should see his previous films. They're amazing. But it also, Anora winning. Actually, wait, I was gonna go into a totally separate tangent about why I think
Okay.
Anora is the perfect win for this year. But anyways, that's not what we're talking about. Yeah, I
I do
just think
both. I
people
feel
are,
like it's, yeah.
yeah, I think, okay, sure. I just think people are getting really confused, and I guess it is related because of like, this movie has less value in winning this award because it spent money trying to get people to watch it. And I'm like, no, like,
Which feels very odd. Yeah.
yeah. And especially because Sean Baker, a lot of his films touch on like class and like socioeconomic factors, but specifically class. And this movie very much is like a Cinderella story gone wrong between like a stripper and like this like Russian oligarch, or like the son of a Russian oligarch. And the ending scene, for anyone who hasn't seen it, I guess I'm gonna spoil it, but like,
Yeah.
go watch Anora. Stop and go watch Anora and come back once you've seen it.
Come
But the
back in 2
last-
hours.
Yeah, the last scene when like Anora is like having sex with like the Russian lackey Igor, who was like on her similar level of class and has always kind of been like kind to her throughout the film and kind of has a thing for her. And like her having sex with him and like then like starting to like slap him and punch him, it's just the realization that she will be stuck in this class. Like she thought she could escape it, but class is such a hard thing to break out of and like move to a higher class. And like her realizing like the confines of her class denomination, I
Mm-hmm.
think is something that is so perfect for today and what we're thinking of in terms of what is happening politically and
Yeah.
socially, and culturally, is that all these decisions that are being made for us about funding and like cutting government agencies are being made by people who grew up in a class that most people who voted for someone like Trump will never see. And I don't think they realize that. And I know
They don't.
everyone keeps
Yeah.
throwing around class consciousness, but at the same time, I do think it's key to understanding how welfare is connected to the economy, which is connected to like foreign policy, and how all of
Mm-hmm.
these things do not exist in a vacuum
Yeah.
until we understand how we can start creating more fluidity between different classes, or at least build equity amongst like lower classes. That
Mm-hmm.
way there isn't this hoarding of wealth at the top. I digress by saying that this also applies to the movie industry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna make it relevant. Is that like we need to find a way to break open and democratize how movies are made, because evidently the big
Yeah.
studios have so much money and they don't know what to do with it, so they're just bleeding it out.
Yeah.
And I think that not enough money still to this day is going towards independent film. There aren't getting shown as much, there's not as much
Yeah.
distribution. When you think of like what's happening today versus like new Hollywood era after the studio system falls, and
Mm-hmm.
everyone is going to see like a Bonnie and Clyde and Easy Rider, because like the studios had no idea what to do, so somebody else had to come in and like be like, we're gonna make the movies that you all are gonna see, that you have
Yeah.
wanted to see, that aren't confined by the studio system gobbledygook. um
Yeah.
um I think I lost the point somewhere in there.
No.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
I have a thought off of that
Mm-hmm.
because you said the major Hollywood studios are like have so much money they don't know what to do with, and I think that's
Mm-hmm.
also compounded with the major studios own so many like sub studios, and we're just seeing them have monopolies again like
Mm-hmm.
they did in the past. And
Mm-hmm.
in a different timeline, when we don't have this president, I could see like another act of legislation being passed where they're like, hey, this can't happen. Like, you have to like diversify because
Mm-hmm.
someone's buying Alamo, Draft House. I forget who it is,
Oh, I forget who it is.
but it's like, hey, you're owning the means of production and
Wasn't it
distribution.
is it Sony?
Maybe
I
I don't want
I
to
feel
commit
like
to
it's
that, but
Sony.
I'm like, we've seen
Okay.
this before,
Mm-hmm.
and we had to like put legislation against this because you can't own
Mm-hmm.
these like vertical integrations. And in a different timeline where we don't have oligarchs running our country, um, I could see the industry going towards that again and like having them forcefully break up like
Mm-hmm.
all of these creative studios.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's just going to get worse because they're making money. Our administration prioritizes making money over anything. And so I think it is going to get worse before it gets better. But I'm just like, we've seen this before. And like,
Mm-hmm.
as we know, the entertainment industry like repeats itself, they go in cycles and
Yeah.
everything kind of happens again.
Because nobody cares to open up a textbook anymore
I know.
and be like, this is exactly what happened
Yeah.
before. And yeah, you bringing up like antitrust policy is a big passion of mine. I'm
Yeah.
so into we need to break up monopolies, because that's how
Hmm.
you have a free market, and that's how you let like small businesses like
Yeah.
flourish and thrive. And it boggles my mind that more people aren't focused on breaking up all these big billionaire business monopolies to give people a fair shot at success.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say.
But why would they do that?
Because they're making so much money. They won't do that.
I know.
I don't. Like, none of what's happening makes any sense to me, because I'm like, nobody's benefiting from this
No, it
except
doesn't
like
make
the
sense,
couple
and
people at the top.
it's gonna pop. That's what always happens with anything. It's gonna pop. I mean, like even
Mm-hmm.
Netflix, they're raising their prices again. I think
Mm-hmm.
they're up to like
People are gonna start unsubscribing.
$17. Yeah, and again, also we can't trust Netflix because they can just say whatever they want to.
Mm-hmm.
because they don't let us have their data. But I think I
Mm-hmm.
saw an article that was talking about how much money they brought in like over like winter break and stuff like that. And it was a good amount, but I'm also just like, we are more than likely heading into recession. People are gonna have to start making cuts.
Mm-hmm.
The money's gonna
Yeah.
dry up, especially if you keep throwing out this shit ton of money for
Yeah.
no one to watch your films.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's how Netflix makes their money is like they put out
Mm-hmm.
these new TV shows and these new films, hoping that they'll get new subscribers. But okay, what happens when no one's interested in watching what you're putting out? And I
Yeah,
do
because
think, unfortunately, we'll see a bump with the last season of Stranger Things coming out later this year.
mm-hmm.
But it's just like
Oh my god, when?
I don't know, girl.
That
They're like
show's been
20.
on since
They're
I
like
was a
20 years
freshman in
old.
college.
Yeah.
Girl, no, think about that. Before I started college, I was watching Stranger Things.
That's insane.
I've
Yeah.
gone to grad school. Oh my
Millie
god.
Bobby Brown is engaged. Oh wait, no, she's not engaged. She's married.
She's married.
Oh my God.
Okay, but that's not anything. She's young.
Yeah, I know.
She's still very young.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, no, I remember because I remember asking my dad when like Netflix was first coming onto streaming. I was like,
Mm.
what's gonna happen when they reach like the threshold of subscribers? And
Yeah,
like that's
because
like the peak
yeah,
amount of money that they can bring in. It's like I think streaming is at its core detrimental to art.
yeah.
There's not, that's not an argument for me. That's a fact. I think across all industries, music, film,
Mm.
what else uses streaming?
I think
I
it's
don't
just
know.
yeah.
Those two, I think it's totally
Yeah.
detrimental, and we can never go back. As much as I would love to go back
No.
to like buying CDs. Because I remember like when a movie came out, like you had to go see it in a theater because it would
Hmm.
be months before you could get it on at Redbox, you know?
Yeah.
Or like or when an album was coming out and it was release week. Like remember going to get like a One Direction album when it came out?
Do I ever?
Yeah.
Do I ever?
Oh god. Man, yeah. I feel like sometimes I feel like a complete Luddite with the way I talk about, and the way I said Luddite right now really emulated um one of our professors.
Yeah.
Because he's like one of the only people I hear say that, and
Yeah.
so I always say it in a German accent. Um, but I feel like such like a crotchety person when I'm just like, I wish we could go back to the way things were. But I do.
Yeah.
I wish we could go back to before there was a Netflix. I
Mm.
wish like that's a sort of innovation that like I think was good in theory, but
Yeah.
now I'm like, I miss going to a video store. I miss going. I know like Blockbuster was like the big business that took over indie video
Yeah.
stores, but like now Blockbuster doesn't exist, and I miss
Hmm.
being able to go and like someone would help you find a movie, and like
I
we are
know.
getting rid of the art of curation in
Yeah.
place of an algorithm.
Hmm.
Um, and I've been trying to like, oh my god, I'm hosting like a Twilight watch thing, and I was like, God, I wish I could just go to the video store and rent Twilight. I can. I know a video store here.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
like
There
one of
you
the last
go.
ones. I'm gonna go support a
Go
small
patron that.
business.
Yeah.
Yeah, mainly because it is streaming on Peacock, but there's commercials because I'm not rich enough to afford no ads.
No, because who is?
No, the minute we are watching a Bravo show and there's no ads on my Peacock, I want you to look over and know that I've made it.
We did
Okay?
it, sis.
Mm-hmm. That's it. Um, yeah, that's all I have to say about the Oscars campaign. It's actually not a big deal. It can be a fairly
Yeah.
fun thing. But as with any political campaign, because if you think politics is not everywhere, you're
Ooh.
wrong. You're wrong. And also, we used to live in LA, which is a
Mhm.
totally different experience for the campaign season because the
Yeah.
billboards are everywhere. Everything is
They're
for your
everywhere.
consideration,
They're on the bus.
you know?
They're on the ground. They're at
There's,
pop-ups. They're at the mall.
yeah, there's no random billboards for some random lawyer that's going to help you
Yeah.
with your car crash eventually. It's all movie TV. And
Yeah.
I love that, you know?
It is fun. It's
It
a
is
fun
very
time.
fun.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, that's all
Mm.
I have to say about the Oscars campaign because now we brought up Bravo
And
and
now we gotta We gotta make moves.
Yeah. For the listeners who don't know, me and Brie are big reality TV show
Hmm.
fans. Um, we started watching this all kind of, well, I mean, we've always watched reality TV,
Hmm.
but we started watching Vanderpump Rules for the first time last year from the
Yeah,
beginning. It is one of the best reality TV shows I have ever seen in my entire life. I am
so
hooked.
good.
I am gagged, and it takes my breath away, actually.
It's literally such a relic of what reality TV at its peak looks like because
Mm-hmm.
it's impossible to recreate that level of truly not caring that there is a camera on you every second of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Because this was like what started
2013.
2013, 2014.
Mm-hmm.
And so, relatively, social media and the
Like
internet.
we're still using Valencia on Instagram at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like the permanency of the internet has not really set
Mm-hmm.
in for these
Yeah.
people who are like early 20s trying to make it in Hollywood while
Oh my
working at this
god.
restaurant. Oh my God. If I could go back
God.
in time and rewatch the entire series with a blank mind, I would
Right?
pay so much money.
Like
Um,
I wish I could have watched this as it was airing
yeah, because I can't
and
imagine
like
what Twitter
been,
was like.
oh my god.
I
I
yearn for the days.
miss Twitter.
I do too.
Fuck you, Elon Musk. You will be dealt with, okay?
Trust.
For taking away Twitter from us.
Yeah.
God.
But yeah, it's just such a perfect encapsulation of prime reality TV and just the shit that happens you cannot script.
Mm-mm.
Our brightest minds could never.
Shakespeare could never write this.
Shakespeare could never. Also, there's gonna be spoilers. Sorry. Um,
Yeah.
but it's been out for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Someone in the writing room could never script Kristen telling Stassi, yeah, I did sleep with Jax multiple times when Tom was in the room after going an entire season of denying it. Because
Yeah.
I've seen
And then
Kristen
one day just being
act.
fed up.
I've seen some clips of her acting nowhere near compared to what she did to Stassi and everyone else that entire season. No one can write that. That was the most.
I
I don't even have words. I'm speechless.
yeah,
It was the
because she said
craziest thing
it.
I've ever seen.
Because the thing is, it didn't feel like a conversation that she was about to confess, and she just like said it, and I was like,
Yeah,
and I think we had to pause and play it again because we were
yeah.
like, did she just say that? Oh my god! And nobody could have scripted Scandival.
Oh my gosh. No.
Everything about that, evil, evil.
I don't, yeah. No, like the most diabolical thing I've
Conniving.
ever seen.
Oh my goodness. Crazy. Oh.
Wild. And it works so well just because I was gonna say because it's not scripted, obviously. But it's like
Mm-hmm.
crazy because these people exist.
I know. I
These
know.
people were diabolical and can lie so easily exist.
I've met some of them, which is crazy.
Mhm.
I recently went to like an event with my friend to see like Jax and Schwartz talk live. And I was like, I can't believe I paid money for this, but it was so worth it. It was such a
Yeah.
trashy event. I loved it.
And sometimes we just
Oh my
need
God.
trashy. That's what we
Yeah.
need.
And speaking of Jax, he revealed in the VPR spinoff, because that's what I think it is, a spinoff,
Oh, for
The
sure.
Valley. The new season is coming out. We're both very
Hmm.
excited. We both just finished watching the first season, and
Yeah.
Jax at this event admitted that in this upcoming season of The Valley, it is the worst we will ever see him, or we have seen him. And I
Which
was
is
like, which is
that's a
crazy because you've been
crazy
bad
statement.
from him,
Yeah.
because he's
And one
been
thing about
bad.
One thing about Jax is, yeah, he's like crazy, but he's very self-aware. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I fully believe him when he say this, like when he says, "This is the most awful I've been."
Oh
I
yeah, for sure.
100% believe that.
Which is which is also so much more disappointing because he's so self-aware and he just keeps going.
He just keeps acting the way he does. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we should talk about our thoughts on season 1 of The Valley.
My first thought is like, Men really do be out here hating their wives.
Oh my God. And it's like not even hidden. That hatred is
Mm-mm.
palpable.
And I'm just like, do they know they don't have to get married? Do they know they don't have to, like, be around women if they really hate them that much?
No.
Do they know that?
I think, well, I think they know that. They don't accept that though, because
Mm,
to be considered a good man, you have to have a woman and a child at your side. You can hate them. You fucking hate their guts. But
God.
you look better as a man if you
Mm-hmm.
have a wife and
Yeah.
kids.
I
Um,
just, yeah, I think overall, I think it brings a lot of good drama. It's not VPR level drama,
yeah.
just because I think there are a lot, there's some normal people on the show.
Hmm.
Um, but I think it's balanced out by the people that, like, Janet gossip, loves to start shit, but hates to take the blame.
Yeah.
And I do think she used her pregnancy as a way to avoid
Oh,
blame.
for sure.
Anyways, her husband, I feel nothing about. He's
Yeah.
just there.
Yeah.
Uh, oh God, Jesse, is that the guy that's with Michelle?
Yes. Who Michelle obviously hates that man.
Hates him.
Obviously loathes his entire
Mm-hmm.
being.
Yeah, and I don't think Jesse cares. They just don't like each other,
No, they don't like each
evidently.
other.
But I think he wants to be married.
He does. Yeah.
I don't think
He
it
wants to
matters
be
that it's
married.
to Michelle, but he's getting sad about this divorce because, like, it feels like a failure on his part
Hmm.
and not like the dissolution of this union.
Yeah.
Um, who's the other couple? Nia is Nia. Is
Nia
that her name?
and what is his name?
Ooh,
And
damn,
I
what's his
like him.
name?
I think he's probably
I
the only
like
one who
him.
actually likes his partner.
Mm-hmm.
Cute. He does voice acting
Damn.
though. I can't remember
Yeah.
what his name is, but
I want to say Duncan, but that's not his
that's
name.
definitely not it.
Is it Danny? Danny. That's
Danny.
his
Yeah,
name.
that's his name.
Damn. No, but good on you, Danny, because if we don't know your name, you're not causing drama.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
genuinely. Except he
No,
got
I
drunk.
like.
He got really trashed that one night. Was a little weird, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna excuse that for being drunk.
Yeah. No, but I do think in this upcoming season things ramp up for those two.
Yeah, it does.
Um, but oh god, yeah, I like them. I hope. I don't know where she's at with this new pregnancy. I didn't. How did you know that she was newly pregnant?
So I finished the last episode of The Valley, and I can't even remember how I got there. I think I might have looked up Kristen, because she is now pregnant,
Mm,
and I think it probably was like a Bravo article or like just
mm-hmm.
Jared, where it was like a compilation of like where everyone like is currently,
Yeah.
and Nia is pregnant with her fourth kid. I'm like, girl, I know you're exhausted. I'm exhausted for you.
Yeah. Because she was dealing with some pretty bad postpartum in
Yeah,
that last season, which I also thought was really weird that she wasn't addressing it as postpartum. She's just like, I don't know what's going on. I'm having these
I
baby
do
blues.
too.
I'm like, you're having postpartum. Like,
I
that's
thought the
not like
same way
a
where she was
secret.
just like, I don't want to put a label on it and say that I have depression. I'm like, okay, it's 2025. Let's move past that. I understand it's probably still a scary word to some people, but like
Mm-hmm.
that's very normal. And also it is disheartening to see her in a group full of mothers where no one is like
Mm.
labeling it, no one's like
Yeah, I never thought about
talk
that.
to
That's
your doctor.
crazy,
She's
actually.
yeah, her friend group is all mothers who has either dealt with it or like know that it's a very serious complication of like
Mm-hmm.
post pregnancy and no one's supporting her in that way.
Yeah, because it's not, I know it's scary to like label something as depression or
Hmm.
postpartum, but like, I guess my thing is that like we know so much about it.
Yeah.
And like, like most women who have a kid will go through some form of postpartum
Yeah.
depression at some point, you know, and it's something that could last a long time or a short amount of time. But
Hmm.
it's something that one, your doctor, first of all, if not her friends, her doctor should be talking to her about this, you
Yeah.
know?
But that's
And
also,
it
yeah,
just, yeah, I think there, I'm, that's probably a systemic issue.
that's what I was gonna
Um,
say. Yeah. There's like, you don't go to the
yeah.
doctor once you have a kid. They don't care about you anymore. You go for like a post at like 6 weeks so they can clear you.
Um,
And that's pretty
we
much it. No, we hate
hate
women.
we hate women. We hate pregnant people. We hate
Hmm.
children. We hate families in America. That's the
Yeah.
crux of it. We hate families
Yeah.
because we don't give them any support systems. God.
Yep.
But no, it just, yeah, I felt like that was something that I was like, so she's going through postpartum? So she's going through
Mm.
I was like, that's what it is. But
Yeah.
it's not for, I'm not her friend.
Yeah.
I'm not her kin. Um, Jackson Brittany.
Wait, I think we need two separate things. I think we first should talk about Kristen and what's his face.
Oh, I forgot about them.
Kristen and what's his face, can't remember his name. And then we should get into Jackson Brittany because those two,
Kristen and Luke.
Luke, that's his name.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that we kind of went on a myriad of thoughts as we saw Kristen's journey unfold. And I think we both hold a soft spot for Kristen, because
Yeah.
she is obviously was going through a lot of things during
Mm-hmm.
Vanderpump and
Mm-hmm.
was not getting the help that she needed, I think.
Yeah. And like
And I
her
think,
being like, I'm in therapy, like
yeah,
it, it's
she's very
giving like
open
she
about that.
found a treatment that works for
Yeah,
her, and I'm very happy for her. And I do think most of the time she does tend to be right.
yeah,
She just maybe doesn't present the information in the best way, but she always
yeah,
comes out in the end right, you know? Might
yeah.
take 10 years like with Ariana, but
She
it
comes
happened.
around.
Yeah.
But I know we've had discussions about just the trajectory of her and Luke's relationship, and
Yeah.
at once being sympathetic to Kristen in being in her 40s and really wanting a kid and knowing that it is more difficult to conceive in your 40s, which is crazy. Crazy thing our body does. But
Mm.
um because we had already known that she was pregnant before watching The Valley. So we knew that
Mm-hmm.
going in. But then you start The Valley and you kind of see their process, and all of a sudden they're talking about like we've been together 6 months and we're already actively trying. And we're like, whoa, you're actively trying. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then the way they just continue and like he lives in Colorado, she lives in LA, she doesn't want to move there, he doesn't want to move here. And all of these things start compounding, and then they start talking to a life coach. And I remember this is the time that it really switched for me because I was also like, yeah, I think it's a little too early for you guys to be actively trying to conceive a kid. But
Mm-hmm.
when they're at that therapy session, multiple things are like disclosed. That, like, one, I don't think they've ever used protection. So, like, from the onslaught of the
From the
relationship,
get-go.
that was an intent of like
Mm-hmm.
having a child. But also, and this is probably one of the most concerning things, they don't talk about finances.
Mm.
Neither of them have disclosed to the other like what their money situation looks like. They can't
Yeah.
decide on where to live. They acknowledge that they don't have a support system in California. And it's just like, hey, actually, maybe I should put pause on the effort to conceive and maybe have those discussions. And this is a wider thing that you and I have a lot of conversations about of how people will just have children and expect everything else to work out later instead of, hey, family planning. Hey, let's talk
Because
about the
family
future.
planning is not like, do you want kids? Do you want kids?
Yeah.
It is like, what are your values? What are your
Hmm.
finances? What political affiliate? It's so many
It's so
different
many different things. Yeah.
conversations about how you want to bring a person into this world.
Hmm.
Because it's wanting kids is not about you.
No.
It's straight up not about you. And too many people center themselves in the choice of having kids. It's not about you. It's about what you can like give to this person that you are like creating.
Hmm.
Yeah, I want Kristen to be happy. I do hope it works out.
Yeah.
I'm worried.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah. Hope for the
I
best
just
for her. Like, I
yeah,
know
I'm
she
like
really wants to be a mother, and she's had a tough lot with Tom
mm-hmm.
Sandoval and staying for him as
Yeah.
long as she did.
Well, and then after that, Carter, and then whatever after
It was just
that,
a
like
straight, yeah, she had a bad string of men.
yeah, and I hope Luke is a good guy.
Yeah, and he does seem like he likes Kristen. Well, for some of her past
Which is
boyfriends,
key. Did not
can't
like
say the
her.
same, but I think he
Mm-hmm.
genuinely likes her and he does tend to
Yeah.
stand up for her, which obviously that's on the show and we don't know their
Yeah.
relationship. But
That's
like,
my thing. I'm rooting for Mariposa, you know?
yeah.
It's so funny because I go on the VPR Reddit sometimes and everyone's like, Mariposa, every time
Aw.
I talk about Kristen. And I love that for her. I
You
think people
know.
really have come around to her,
Yeah, I think so
which is
too.
good.
Yeah.
Um,
But let's
Jackson
talk
Brittany.
about Jackson Brittany. Oh my God.
Well, my thing is like there really isn't much to talk about because we saw this coming.
I know. And I think
Nothing
that's,
about this is was unpredictable.
yeah, it's just frustrating to
Mm-hmm.
kind of see it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's hard. Well, I was going to say it's hard to pass judgment on her, but no, I actually think it's kind of easy. Because, like, Jax has never hidden who he was. He has never
No.
hidden who he was. He's a serial
Mm-hmm.
cheater. He's a habitual liar. He's cheated on Brittany
Mm-hmm.
multiple times and admitted to it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just really tough to see her trying to stick it out and work it out because I do like she is a victim of like Southern patriarchy and placing your
Yeah.
worth on having a man and starting a family and having your kids. And so it is hard
Mm-hmm.
to break out of that, but it's also like we talked about this before and it's out now. So obviously Jax has talked about his cocaine addiction that he's had literally for years, which I'm like,
Yeah.
if you've seen VPR, you've seen those eyes.
That's the thing. I'm like, it was evident he was on something.
Yeah, and it's something that Brittany admits that she was aware of, and we talked about this of like she knew that this man was addicted to cocaine, that he was neglecting her as a partner. He wasn't doing much of the child rearing, and she's still begging him to have a second child,
And that,
knowing.
like, after that news came out, it made me see like the situation totally differently, especially
Yeah,
when she was just like, I've known this, and like he says he's getting help. I'll believe it when I see it. And I'm like, I don't think she's entirely blameless in this because
yeah,
I think it's really irresponsible. And obviously, I'm going to like acknowledge the possibility of like sometimes when you're in a toxic relationship, it is hard to get out. It's hard for a
yeah,
lot
for
of women
sure.
to leave that situation. And the way she described it, like, I literally, it clicked for me one day that, like, I don't have to be here. And, like, she took Cruz
Yeah,
and left. I understand that. It just, like, it's so scary to me that she knew about this
hmm
addiction that he had and, like, continued to bring a child into the world
hmm
with him.
yeah,
Um, just because it's like you brought a child into this world with a father who has much work to do.
hmm
And like, I do hope he kicks this addiction. I am always for
yeah,
people kicking an addiction, even if they're Jax. Like, I hope he gets help. I hope he
yeah,
gets better. But that is so tough on a young kid
hmm
to like from the get-go. It's not like, oh, we didn't know this new challenge. You knew it was going to be a challenge
hmm
and continued to do it anyway and then wanted to do it again.
yeah.
And
Especially
that's where
when the
I was
ratio,
like,
yeah,
what?
when the relationship obviously was on like a downward turn. And there she was very
Mm-hmm.
vocal about it on the show, like of him not spending time with her, them like not having sex, like
Yeah.
him not like taking them on dates. And it's just like, okay, so all of this is happening. He's in like he has an active addiction. He's
Mm-hmm.
opening a bar, which you've already said he's never home. You want to have another baby and take care of your other kid.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just
Yeah.
it is really sad because I can also see it as like maybe this will help our relationship, which
Mm-hmm.
listen, it never helps a
Yeah.
relationship. Bringing a
Let me just
child
say,
in
never
never
helps.
helps.
No, it's
Um,
never gonna solve your issues. It might make them worse. Actually, no,
yeah,
it will.
it
It
will
will make
make it
them worse.
worse. And so I think it is likely just a last ditch effort of her trying to save what she imagines their relationship and what their family can be, and it's obviously it was never ever going to work. And I am really glad that she finally decided to leave.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm curious to see like what else happens in season 2 because I'm sure like it's insane.
Yeah. It looked really
Yeah.
insane, and yeah, I'm nervous for what season 2 will bring, especially if Jax is like, this is the worst you've seen me. I'm like, what
I can't
does that
even
even
fathom
mean?
what that might be.
I can't even imagine what a worst case scenario Jax is. I
Yeah.
thought I had seen it already.
Might not have seen
Damn.
nothing yet.
Man, well, I'm excited either way.
God, me too.
In
I love
times like
reality
these,
TV.
I love
Because
reality
again,
TV.
like, yes, at one hand it is entertaining, but also it brings up like social conversations that we need to be talking about.
Yeah, and I feel better because they're getting paid for this.
Oh yeah, they're getting a lot of
And
money.
we're not.
Hmm.
We're
We're
not.
just yapping.
I know. One day, one day.
One day, you're so right.
Oh, but that's pretty much all I have to say for
Yeah, I
today.
think that's it. We will trust. We will revisit the Valley when season 2 comes out. I think that's in May, so
Oh, we're gonna give
stay
live
tuned.
updates.
Stay tuned.
Ugh, I'm so excited to get into it.
I know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to our first episode of 2025. It only took us three
Let's
months
just
to get here.
look, we're changing the calendar.
We are.
March is
Yeah,
the beginning of the year now.
it is. Oh my God, it is.
Mm.
Okay,
January
so
and February, I don't remember her.
I don't know her. We'll be more consistent
Mm-hmm.
going forward.
We will. Well, we'll talk to y'all next time.
All right, see you later.
Bye.
Bye.